Hi, everyone. Hi. Sorry, I'm just typing this real quick. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing surviving Christmas prep? Ooh, okay. I know there's probably going to be like 4 people watching. It's kind of a weird video time, but this is the only time I have to chat today. So my daughter, Winnie, has her Christmas concert today. And she was so excited. We got her a dress and that stuff. I mean, I have 3 very fun boys, but, like, they've never really cared about, like, concerts or plays or that sort of thing. Like, of course, they want me there, but, like, it's never been that big of a deal. With my daughter, it is like, "Are you gonna do my hair? What am I wearing? Who's coming? What time are you gonna be here?" Like, it's just so fun. It's just really, really fun. And I always get my Christmas dresses for Winnie at JCPenney's, and our JCPenney's is really not the most pleasant store. I was telling my mother-in-law yesterday, she's like, "Where'd you get this dress?" And I was like, "Penny's." She's like, "I haven't been there for years. That store's gone to pot." And I was like, "Yes, indeed, it has." But they have the cutest kids' Christmas dresses, and this is what I got for Harbor. They have the cutest little outfits. So she has a red pea coat and a red like tweed dress with flowy like tulle. So cute, so cute. So I'm so excited to go see her. I know it because I know my daughter. She will never take her coat off because she's so excited about the coat. So I know that. And then Harbor had to do his Christmas list this morning. I think they're just practicing writing. So they did their Christmas list for school, and he was so funny. He put dirt bike, and I was like, "Sweetheart, there in no world are you getting a dirt bike." I mean, I could list you're 6. You have nowhere to ride it. It's unsafe. I don't want you to have one. They're expensive. They're dangerous. No. Like, but he put that like as his thing that he wanted. He had all these, all these things on there. But he's just, I always find it fascinating that you can have 4 kids and they can all be so different. Harbor is my most precocious, and I have a feeling that school is going to be really easy for him. I think it's going to be really easy for him, and writing has just come so naturally to him, and he's spelling and he's eager. It's fun. It's very fun. And then Cooper, my 14-year-old, he is so into Santa. And I share that because I know that a lot of families have kids with autism who don't acknowledge Santa or presents or birthdays, and it stings. It absolutely stings. I mean, without a doubt. Cooper started acknowledging Christmas a couple of years ago. Loves everything about it, constantly writes about it, communicates about it, points to the fireplace, Christmas trees. I mean, just obsessed. So buying presents for him is never been easy because there's just nothing. He always says he wants paper, magazines, DVDs, books. So it's gotten to the point where we just wrap up the things that he has because he doesn't care. I mean, he wants them. He wants to open them. It's very important that he gets them, but he doesn't really necessarily care. I can't tell if he's excited. It's a confusing, it's confusing. And so he always takes my computer. So I said to him, "Would you like a laptop like mommy's?" And he was intrigued by that. So then he steals the TV. We have one TV in our main floor, and it's his, and it gets kind of frustrating. So, Jamie said to him, "Would you like a TV that we could hang on your wall in your room?" And oh my gosh, he thought that this was a couple days ago. He thought that was like the cat's meow. Like he was like, I mean, just blown away. Now, will he spend time in his room watching it without us? I don't see that happening. But it's worth a try. He also has 500 DVD cases in our living room. And I said to him a couple days ago, I said, "Well, if you get a TV in your room, you have to bring all your DVDs to your room too." And he was like, "No." And it's so frustrating because it's not frustrating, it's just kind of another thing. Like takes up this whole area of our living room. So this morning, this is how smart he is. He points to the fireplace and he looks at me and then he shows me his phone and it said, "TV present Cooper." And I was like, "Did you want a TV?" And he's like, "Yes." And so then I was teasing him for a second and I go, "What if Santa can't get that down the chimney? Like, what if Santa doesn't bring a TV?" And he looked at me and he went, "Hmm." And he laughed. Like, I think in his mind, hi, Rosie. I think in his mind, he and Santa are so tight that he just can't imagine like Santa not bringing something that he wants. It's just this innocence that it it's precious. That's the word. It is precious. Like he was like, "Hmm." Ha 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 ha. So he thinks he's getting a TV, so we'll see how that goes. Um, it sure makes our life easier. That's an easy present. I just don't think he'd spend any time in his room. I really don't. He's too nosy. He has FOMO. I can't see it. One of you asked how so Melissa, that was the other thing I said to him is I'm like, again today, I'm like, you will get a rack for DVDs. Like, remember those old fashioned, I mean, I'm 41, but like they were like slanted. They probably don't even make them anymore, but they were like DVD, like big on the wall, like a shelf. But I don't know if they make those anymore, so we could just do like a bookshelf or something, I guess. But it'd be worth it getting the TV to get the DVDs out of the living room. That would be really nice. So we'll see. Someone asked if he had fun making cookies last night. He did. So Cooper went to his grandma's, Jamie's parents, last night and made cookies. And my mother-in-law said he cracked eggs and he helped bake for the first time ever. So she used to say, "Hey, Lindsay," she used to say, like, he asked to go over there. He's been so excited. And so she told me, she's like, "Cooper's not a big baker or a big helper. He's a big sampler." Like he loves and so he's just such a perplexing dude lately. So she said he helped bake, he helped rolled out the dough, he helped do all of it. Like he did all of it. He didn't eat one cookie. He didn't eat one cookie. And she's like, "It was so strange." She's like, "It was just so strange." But he helped with all of it. And I'm so thankful that they got to experience that with him. I always say autism is a family diagnosis. And I say that because it affects each person in our family differently. It just does. And the grandparents want to engage with him. Like they want to do stuff with him. And so him going over there, and he loves going over there. It's very quiet. There's no other little kids around. He loves it. So I didn't think he'd come home. I honestly thought he'd move in for a night, but he came home, which he had to at school today. But I said this in my stories, and I think that this is missed for people outside of the autism world. And I like to share these things so people understand. There is, very few places, if none, besides last night, that Cooper goes without me. And so I have an 11-year-old. He goes to hockey. He goes to baseball. He goes biking. He goes to the park. He goes to the ball field. He goes to school dances. I could list play dates, sleepovers. That's normal. That's typical. As kids age, they develop relationships and they do things. There is nothing that Cooper does without me. And someone messaged and they're like, but he does horseback riding. If I'm next to the horse holding his hand, walking him through, he does Miracle League. If we're motivating the whole time to stand up, to hit, we're running with him, we're on the bases with him. It's great. We're so happy for it. We're so thankful. But he needs to start developing, and we want him to, relationships, grandma and grandpa. And it'd be so great if he could have friends and play dates. And it's just, I think that's forgotten sometimes. Everything is done with us. Like we look at the summer, there's not one time he's apart from us, I guess for ESY, but that's a whole nother story. It's just, him going there, it was so like, he got off the bus and he was so excited. He's like pointed out the door, like he knew he was leaving. It was fun. I almost teared up. Like I was teasing him. I'm like, you're leaving me? I was like, you never leave mom. Where are you going? And he's like, but I eat. It was like it was so cute, like to see him going. So I was happy for him that he had that. And then what else was I going to say to you? There was other things that I wanted to tell you before I got into my topic. What was it? There was one other thing. Oh, I try to share, I really try to share what our life, a glimpse inside of what our life is like. And I do that not for sympathy or for pats on the back, but I think about the mom of the newly diagnosed kid watching me, and I want someone to feel less alone because they hear our story. And so, an example, our daughter has her choir concert today, and it's at 3:30. Cooper's done with school at 2:20. So he will be home, and he isn't able to go. It's just not a setting that we're going to bring Cooper into. A church, crowded, full of people, needing to be quiet. It's just not his setting. And everything we do, if you follow me, everything we do is to prepare Cooper for the future. So we're working on it, but we're not going to bring him to Winnie's concert. And we had no one to watch him for a hot minute. And so my husband and I sat at the table and we're like, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, I want to go. I'm like, I'm not missing it. And he's like, well, I want to go too. And we had this moment where we had to, frantically figure out, how do we get there? How do we make it happen? And I just want to say that I'm human and I have these moments of jealousy where I feel an anger, like, every other family can just go. It's not fair. It's not fair. And I just want to say it. And if it makes anyone else feel less alone, and then I always go down this rabbit hole. I sink down for a few minutes and I think, are we going to be doing this, getting sitters when he's 20 and 30 and 40? Like, I don't want to get a sitter. I want to all go. I want it to be easy. I want to not have to think about this. And, I share the parts that wear me down, it's kind of the juggling neurotypical and neurodiversity and trying to get us to fit together and be successful. Really, truly, that's the hardest part for me right now. That's the hardest part. Like, Christmas Eve church, like, that's another one. Like, it's so hard. And so I'll go with Sawyer and Harbor and Winnie and my mother-in-law. Maybe Jamie will go and his dad will stay home with Cooper, or, how do we make it work? So, Lindsay, exactly. That's exactly it. Yes. Like we should all be going to Winnie's concert. But that is not for us. We always weigh the pros and cons, and it's not the situation for him to have a meltdown. It's not for him to have to take him out and miss her show. Like that's not. So I just share that. And I know you might not understand, but it's hard. It is hard. Okay, so my topic that I wanted to talk about today, before I get ready to go to her show, I titled it Aquariums, Autism, Aquariums, a Security Guard, and Autism is what I titled it. And I haven't really shared this story yet. I get very gingerly when it comes to gingerly sharing these types of stories, because I always think people are peering into our world, and I worry that they're judging. And I don't ever want to paint autism in a bad lens, but Cooper has challenges. Cooper's come so far. Cooper is awesome. He is thriving. He's doing things I never thought possible. And the world does not make sense to him. And so I just really urge you, when you see a child or a teen or a young adult having a hard time, I want you to know that Cooper doesn't want to be having a hard time. My mom has not passed away. My mom is very much alive. So that's not true. But no, my mom isn't able to help. So, okay. So last week we brought our two older boys, Cooper and Sawyer, to Chicago on the Amtrak, and it was wonderful. It was Cooper's dream. We had a wonderful experience. There were just some weird, unique kind of challenges to it, but it was great. Overall, it was great. Like we couldn't go to the dining car. There were just different parts that were challenging, but the successes outweighed those a million times over. We were on the train for 8 hours. It went wonderful. Got to Chicago. And our plan in Chicago was to go to the Shed Aquarium, which is a lovely place. I want to be clear, like the Shed Aquarium is awesome. It's definitely crowded. And I'm realizing the older I get, I don't love crowds. I can fully admit that. A lot of people there, lots of people. And it's awesome though. The reason that we went there was to see the beluga whales. So Cooper's dream is to see a whale, but like he wants to see whales in like the ocean. There's a Dora episode with whales. Like that is what he wants. Like he wants to see the whales. But, getting to California or wherever there are whales is going to take time. So we took the Amtrak to Chicago and went and saw the beluga whales. They have 4 or 5. And we went through most of the aquarium, and he wasn't all that interested, and then ended with this pool, and we got there right when they were like doing tricks and like feeding them. There wasn't seating. So how it worked is like you walk down these steps and around, like think of rocks, like walked around this corner, and then suddenly you're right there. You're like, the aquarium is like right here, the pool. And so right away, I saw that they had those glass for the aquarium, glass for the pool. And then maybe like 3 feet back, they had those what are they, like those ropes that they use to take you through the airport, like when you're in lines or like at the movie theater. They're like, stretchable. You put them in the little poles. And so right away, Cooper gasped and went and sat he's a sitter. He does not want to view standing. He wants to sit. And it was great because it's an aquarium. Like you can see through the glass. So we're standing, so Jamie and I are standing in Sawyer, and we're right behind the rope thingy. And then there's like 3 feet in between us and the aquarium. Now, I don't know why. Maybe they just didn't want your fingers on the I didn't quite understand why you couldn't go up to it, because you could in other areas. I'm sure there's lots of logic. And I want to be clear, we're there to follow the rules. And so he sits down, so he's under, someone named it, the rope thing. I mean, like it's up, it's like here. And he's sitting crisscross applesauce, and he's like looking at his iPad. And so he immediately pulls up his Dora episode, and he's watching Dora with the whales. And then he lays on his belly. And it's just who he is. He's 14, and that's just who he is. I interviewed an autistic adult once. Her name is Perry. She's amazing. She used to have a page called Not Rain Girl. And she told this story one time to me about how, because of her anxiety, she always sits. And she's like, I like to hold the ground. And she goes, if I fits, I sits. And I think about that all the time. If Cooper fits, he sits. And she's like, I like to hold the ground. Cooper holds the ground all the time. And so he went from sitting to laying on his stomach. And then he looked at me and he log rolled. And so right away, Jamie and I stayed very calm. And we kind of, we didn't go under the rope, but we just knelt down and we're like, Cooper, you know that you're not supposed to be over there. And he looked at us and he smiled. And we know as his parents that we can get him back. Like we weren't concerned. Like we were not concerned in any way. Like we were going to get him back over. He wasn't causing damage. He wasn't causing harm. He wasn't touching the glass. He wasn't doing anything except his physical person was under the rope. And within seconds, the security guard was right behind us. And so I want to be clear, parenting autism in public is awful. And I'm being serious. That's a bold sentence. It is like being under a microscope. There people are watching, they're staring, they're judging, they're snickering, they're being kind. It's under a microscope. It's like, I have this sentence in my new book, we don't blend in, this boy and I. And we don't blend in. We always stand out. And so Jamie and I were not concerned at all. We knew we'd get him back over. And this security guard was like right over my head. And I'm like, oh, sorry, my internet just cut out. Oh, are you still there? I do not know why my internet just cut out. I'm sorry. I hope it comes back. If you're on Facebook, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see me? I have the worst internet at my house. It's insane. And so I was like, Coops, you got to come back over. I'm like, if you want to go to the water park and you want to go on the water slides, you have to come back. And so I would say from start to finish, it was probably like a minute and a half that he was under this area. And I felt so uncomfortable because the security guard was like right over my head. Now, there's a chance that he was just there to help. But I want to be clear, there is nothing that he could do with Cooper that would help. He would only make it worse. Now, maybe he was going to tell me there's a sensory room or there's help for people with autism. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was there to be kind. I don't know. So Sawyer, because you're always around. My husband is always around. So then Sawyer said to the security guard, my mom is doing her best and she's got it. And Sawyer said the security guard like smiled at him and like stepped back. And so I was so thankful. I don't know why. I was just thankful for my 11-year-old. I thought that was like so insightful of him. And so it probably took us like a minute and a half to get him like back under the rope. And, everyone was staring at us. Like everyone was looking at us. And I don't know. It wasn't. This is what I feel like as Cooper gets older. He's 14. We can't move him anymore. We can't move him. If he sits, he sits. He, for whatever reason, does not understand these ropes. He doesn't understand why he can't go up to the glass. I don't know. I don't know if it's development, cognitive awareness. I don't know why he doesn't know. I don't know. Are we trying to teach him? Yeah. Do we follow the rules? Yeah. Are we doing our best? Yeah. I had a teacher say to me one time about Cooper, and it really, I quote this all the time. He did his best in the moment. And I really just encourage you, if you are teachers or therapists or you own businesses that, where individuals with disabilities come, or, you encounter kids like Cooper. Cooper is doing his best. Like, he does not want to be naughty. It's not who he is. It's not who he is inherently. Like, it's like he doesn't understand. So he just does it. And then he gets frustrated. And then everyone's staring. And they're judging. But I will tell you, as we walked away, I was pretty shook up for a little bit, because one of my greatest fears is that a police officer or a security guard or someone gets involved in a situation and makes it worse. And I think there's been a lot of education in law enforcement around autism. I think there's a long way to go. And so, like, what if Cooper's having a hard time and someone steps in, I'm not there, and they handcuff him and put him in a squad car? Like, he would not understand. He would not know what to do. He can't communicate. I'm just definitely big fears around that. I was so thankful that Jamie was there, that Sawyer was there, that it didn't wreck the day. We had another incident too, and I haven't really shared this one either. It was smaller, but Cooper wanted something at the aquarium that he didn't need. I'm not going to go into any more of it than that, but just trust me when I say it was something that he didn't need and we weren't going to get. And he went to grab it, and Jamie took it out of his hand and was like, "No, we're not doing that." And Cooper launched himself back, and he was like this close to bumping a person. So he didn't. It didn't happen. But I had this flash, like, what if he bumps like a senior and they fall and they break their hip? I mean, I'll catastrophize. Like, what if he's going to be a man, and he doesn't understand that we can't drop to the ground? And we're working on it. We're doing everything we can to teach him. And he's made so much progress. He hasn't flopped on us. We call it flopping. He hasn't flopped on us in probably a year. And it happened twice in Chicago. I'm going to say it happened once in Chicago. Once in the story I'm telling you right now. And like, what if he would have bumped someone? I mean, it's, and I just want to say, I think that there's a lot of shame around autism parenting, like we're bad parents, or we don't tell them no, or we don't discipline, and all that junk. I have an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old who don't flop. They don't do that. So it's not like we're allowing it or teaching it, or it's just part of his autism. It just is. And he's made a lot of progress, but in that setting there was like 1,000 preschoolers screaming, and it was just a tough, crowded setting. That's how he communicated. He isn't able to communicate verbally. He was mad. He dropped to the ground, and he was this close to bumping someone. I just want to say this sentence. If you feel isolated and you feel like you have nowhere to talk about this stuff, come join my supporter group. I have a link on Facebook and YouTube. Come talk about this stuff with us. Judgment-free, openly and honestly, all the feelings that go into it, fear, worry, anxiety. When these things happen, Sawyer gets embarrassed. I've been embarrassed before. It's hard. So I just want you to know that you're not alone. And I'm out here going through it. I get it. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't afraid of the future. I'm a little afraid. I am. I don't know what that means. What does accident mean, Cheryl, and the eye roll? I'd love to know more about that. Megan, I know. It's just, where do you talk about this unique life, this mysterious life that no one's really talking about? A big part of it is we can't move him anymore. There's something about being able to throw a 2-year-old over your shoulder and walk out. Oh yeah, come join us. Definitely. We do need to give each other grace. I really do. I really think that. Jill, I pinned the link. I don't know if I'll be able to do it right now. But if you look at the top, do you see it? I don't know if I can do this. No, it won't let me do it now, Jill. But you should be able to see it. It says join me for more in-depth video. Okay, I'm going to go. It's time for Winnie's concert. I will be live with the trifecta tonight on Adrienne Wood's page. Her page is Tales of an Educated Debutante. I think it's at 7 p.m. Central. Come over there and join us. It's a fun chat. It is a fun chat. Okay, goodbye.